Hey everyone, welcome back to Asterisk Rye Stories podcast, where we share real experiences from people building new lives in different countries. I'm your host, Daniel, and today's episode is going to be honest, surprising, and very real. Because many people think they understand life in the UK, but the reality can be very different. Today I'm joined by a special guest, Adam Kareem. Adam is an international student who moved to the UK, adapted to a new culture, improved his English, and now shares his experience to help others who want to live abroad. Adam, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm really happy to be here.
In this episode, we're talking about 15 things that shocked Adam about life in the UK, from culture and communication to daily habits and unexpected challenges. Some of these might surprise you too, especially if you're planning to move abroad. Before we start, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any new episodes.
Rise Stories Podcast.
Inspiring journeys towards success.
Adam, what shocked you the moment you landed in the UK?
Honestly, Daniel, the first thing that shocked me was how calm everything felt. I expected a big, noisy, and stressful arrival, but when I landed, people looked very organized, very quiet, and very focused. Even at the airport, everything seemed to move in an orderly way.
So it was not the chaos you imagined?
Exactly. I thought it would feel more confusing. But instead, I noticed people standing in line, waiting patiently, and respecting personal space. That really surprised me. In some places, people speak loudly or move quickly, but here, everything felt more controlled.
That's interesting. Was there anything else that hit you immediately?
Yes, the weather. It sounds simple, but the gray sky and the cold air gave me a completely different feeling. It made the moment more serious and emotional for me. I remember thinking, wow, I'm really far from home now.
So it was not only a cultural shock, but also an emotional one.
Absolutely. In that moment, I felt excited, but also a little nervous. Everything was new. The signs, the accents, the way people behaved. It was the start of a new chapter, and I could feel that from the first hour.
That's powerful. Your first surprise was not one big thing, but a mix of small details that made the UK feel completely different.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes the biggest shock is not one dramatic moment. It's the little things that quietly tell you, you are in a different world now.
That's a great way to put it, and I think many people who move abroad can really relate to that feeling.
Definitely. The first impression stays with you. It can be scary, but it can also open your mind in a beautiful way.
Before you came to the UK, Adam, what did you think life here would be like?
To be honest, Daniel, I had a very perfect image in my mind. I thought everything would be modern, easy, and very comfortable. I imagined clean streets, polite people, and a very high-quality lifestyle.
So your expectations were quite high?
Yes, very high. I also thought communication would be easy because I studied English before coming. I believed I would understand everything and speak confidently from day one.
And was that the reality?
Not really. Some things were true. People are polite and systems are organized. But other things were different. For example, understanding real conversations was much harder than I expected. People speak fast, and accents are very different.
That's something many learners don't expect.
Exactly. Also, I thought making friends would be easy, but it took more time. People are friendly, but they respect personal space, and relationships grow slowly.
So there was a gap between expectation and reality.
Yes, and I think that gap is normal. Social media and movies show one version of life, but the real experience is more complex. It's not bad, just different.
That's a very important point. Expectations can sometimes create pressure.
True. And once I accepted that things are different, not perfect, I started to enjoy the experience more and learn from it.
Adam, one thing people always talk about is queue culture in the UK. Tell me honestly, is it really that serious?
Daniel, it's very serious. I didn't expect it to be such a big part of daily life. But from day one, I noticed that people always stand in line. At the bus stop, in shops, even in small situations.
What happens if someone doesn't follow the queue?
That's the interesting part. People may not shout or react aggressively, but you can feel the tension immediately. You might get looks. Or someone will politely say, "Excuse me, there's a queue."
So it's a silent rule, but everyone respects it.
Exactly. It's like an unwritten law. At first, I didn't pay attention, and one time I accidentally stood in the wrong place. Someone corrected me politely, and I felt a bit embarrassed.
That must have been a learning moment.
Yes, definitely. After that, I became more aware. I started observing people more, and I realized that queuing is about respect, respecting time, order, and other people.
That's deeper than just standing in line.
It really is. It shows how society works here. Even without strict control, people follow rules because they believe it's the right thing to do.
That's a powerful insight. A simple habit, but with a strong meaning behind it.
Exactly, and once you understand it, you start to feel more comfortable and part of the system.
Adam, you mentioned earlier that you studied English before coming. So tell me, was it easy to understand people when you arrived?
Honestly, Daniel, not at all. That was one of the biggest shocks for me. I thought my English was good, but when people started speaking, I felt lost.
Really? What made it so difficult?
The accents. In school, we usually learn clear, slow English, but in real life, people speak fast, and every region has a different accent. Sometimes, even simple sentences sounded completely new to me.
That must have been frustrating.
Yes, especially in the beginning. I remember someone asking me a simple question, and I had to ask them to repeat it 2 or 3 times. I felt a bit embarrassed.
How did you deal with that situation?
At first, I tried to avoid long conversations, but then I realized that the only way to improve was to face it. I started listening more, in shops, on the bus, even watching local TV shows.
So you trained your ear over time.
Exactly. Little by little, I began to understand more. I also learned that it's okay to say, "Sorry, can you repeat that?" People are usually patient and understanding.
That's a very important lesson.
Yes, your English level on paper is one thing, but real-life communication is a completely different experience. You need time, practice, and confidence.
That's very real, and I think many listeners will relate to that.
Definitely. It's challenging at first, but it gets better if you don't give up.
Adam, something many people notice in the UK is how often people say, sorry. Did that surprise you?
Oh yes, a lot. At first I was confused. People say sorry all the time, even when they did nothing wrong.
Really? Can you give an example?
Yes. One time someone lightly touched my arm while passing by, and they immediately said sorry. Even in situations where there is no problem, people still use it.
That's interesting. So sorry doesn't always mean a real apology?
Exactly. It's more like a way to be polite and respectful. It can mean excuse me, or just a way to keep things smooth and friendly.
Did it take time for you to understand that?
Yes, at the beginning I thought people were too formal or even distant. But later I understood that this is part of the culture. It's how people show respect without being too direct.
So communication is more indirect?
Very much. People don't usually say things in a strong or direct way. They choose soft words. For example, instead of saying, "This is wrong," they might say, "Maybe we can try another way."
That's a big difference from many cultures.
Yes, and once you understand it, it becomes easier to communicate. You start to adapt your language and become more aware of how you speak.
So politeness here is not just about words, but also about attitude.
Exactly. It's about making others feel comfortable. And I think that's something very valuable to learn.
Adam, let's talk about something very important. Money. Is living in the UK really as expensive as people say?
Yes, Daniel, it is quite expensive, especially at the beginning. That was a big shock for me. I knew it wouldn't be cheap, but I didn't expect it to affect my daily life so much.
What was the most surprising cost for you?
Definitely rent. Accommodation is very expensive, especially in big cities like London. Sometimes a big part of your budget goes just to rent.
And what about other expenses?
Transport is also costly. Taking the bus or train every day adds up quickly. Food can be expensive too, especially if you eat outside often.
So how did you manage that?
At first, it was difficult. I had to change my habits. I started cooking at home more, planning my spending, and looking for student discounts.
That sounds like a big adjustment.
It was, but it taught me a lot. I became more responsible with money. I learned how to budget and make better decisions.
So the challenge became a lesson.
Exactly. Living in the UK is expensive, but it also helps you grow. You learn how to manage your finances and become more independent.
That's a very valuable skill, wherever you live.
Absolutely. And once you understand the system, it becomes easier to control your expenses.
Adam, let's talk about something more personal. Did you ever feel lonely or out of place when you first arrived in the UK?
Yes, Daniel, I did. In fact, that was one of the hardest parts of the experience. At the beginning, everything was new. The place, the people, even the way of life. And that made me feel a bit disconnected.
Was it because you didn't know many people?
Exactly. Back home, you have friends, family, and a support system. But when you move abroad, you start from zero. Even simple things, like having a casual conversation, become difficult.
That must have been tough emotionally.
It was. There were moments when I felt very alone, especially in the evenings or weekends. I missed familiar faces, my language, and the feeling of belonging.
How did you deal with that feeling?
At first, I kept it to myself, but then I realized I needed to take action. I started joining activities, talking to classmates, and saying yes to small social opportunities.
Did that make a difference?
Yes, slowly. It didn't change overnight, but step by step, I started building connections. Even small conversations helped me feel less alone.
So the key was to push yourself a little.
Exactly. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Loneliness is part of the journey, but it can also push you to grow and become stronger.
That's very real, and I think many people will connect with that.
Definitely. If you're feeling that way, just know it's normal, and it will get better if you keep trying.
Adam, I'm sure there were some awkward or funny moments. What was your biggest cultural misunderstanding in the UK?
Oh yes, Daniel. I remember one situation very clearly. Someone invited me for a coffee, and I thought it would be a long, relaxed meeting. But in reality, it was very short, maybe 15 minutes, and then they left.
So your expectations were different from theirs.
Exactly. In my culture, when you meet someone, you usually spend more time together. But in the UK, people often plan short, efficient meetings, especially during busy days.
Did that confuse you at the time?
Yes, I thought maybe they were not interested or that I did something wrong. But later I understood that this is normal here. Time is very important, and people like to keep things organized.
That's a great example. Any other misunderstandings?
Yes, another one was when someone said, "We should meet sometime." I thought it was a real plan, so I waited for them to invite me. But nothing happened.
Ah, that's a classic one.
Exactly. Later, I learned that sometimes it's just a polite expression, not a real invitation. It's a way to be friendly without making a fixed plan.
So communication is not always direct.
Yes, and that was the lesson. You need to understand the meaning behind the words, not just the words themselves.
That's a powerful insight.
Definitely. Once I understood that, I became more comfortable and avoided misunderstandings.
Adam, after all these challenges, when did things start to change for you?
That's a great question, Daniel. I think the change didn't happen in one big moment. It was gradual. But I clearly remember a point when I started to feel more comfortable and confident.
What was different at that time?
I stopped comparing everything to my home country. Instead of thinking, this is better or this is worse, I started accepting things as they are. That mindset shift changed everything.
So the change started from your thinking.
Exactly. Also, my English improved, and I began to understand people more easily. Simple things like ordering food or having small conversations became natural.
That must have boosted your confidence.
Yes, a lot. I also started building a small circle of people, classmates, colleagues, and that made me feel more connected.
So you were no longer just visiting, you were adapting.
Exactly. That's the word, adapting. I started to feel like I belonged, even if it was just a little at first.
Was there a moment where you realized, okay, I'm doing well now?
Yes, one day I was having a normal conversation, and I didn't think about my English or what to say. It just flowed naturally. That's when I realized things had changed.
That's a powerful moment.
It really is. It shows you that progress is happening, even if you don't notice it every day.
So the transformation was quiet, but meaningful.
Exactly. Small steps, but big impact.
Adam, what small habits helped you fit in faster in the UK?
Honestly, Daniel, it was the small daily habits that made the biggest difference. One of the first things I did was observe people carefully, how they speak, how they behave, even how they react in simple situations.
So you were learning by watching.
Exactly. I noticed things like saying please and thank you very often, respecting personal space, and being on time. These small details really matter here.
Interesting. Anything else?
Yes, I also made an effort to speak more, even if I wasn't perfect. Instead of staying silent, I tried to join conversations, ask questions, and express myself.
That takes courage.
It does, but it helps a lot. Another habit was listening to how people use expressions in real life, not just textbook English.
So real. Life learning again.
Exactly. And one more thing. I stayed open-minded. Instead of judging differences, I tried to understand them. That made the whole experience easier.
That's a powerful approach.
Yes, because fitting in is not about changing who you are. It's about adapting while staying yourself.
That's a great message.
Thank you. And honestly, anyone can do it with small, consistent steps.
Adam, looking back at your journey, what did the UK teach you about yourself?
That's a deep question, Daniel. I think the biggest thing I learned is that I'm more adaptable than I thought. Before coming, I wasn't sure how I would handle all the changes.
So you discovered a new side of yourself.
Exactly. Living in a different country pushed me out of my comfort zone. I had to solve problems on my own, make decisions, and face challenges without depending on others.
That sounds like real growth.
It is. I also learned patience. Things don't always go as planned, especially in a new environment. You need time to understand, adjust, and improve.
And emotionally?
I became stronger. At the beginning, small problems felt big. But over time, I learned how to manage stress and stay calm.
That's powerful.
Yes, and I also learned to appreciate diversity more. Meeting people from different backgrounds opened my mind and changed the way I see the world.
So the experience was not just external, but also internal.
Exactly. The UK didn't just change my environment, it changed me as a person.
That's a strong realization.
Yes, and I'm really grateful for that journey.
Adam, for someone listening right now and planning to move to the UK, what should they know before they go?
Great question, Daniel. The first thing I would say is be prepared for a different culture, not a perfect one. Keep your expectations realistic.
That's important. What else?
Learn to manage your money early. The cost of living can be high, so it's better to plan your budget, track your spending, and avoid unnecessary expenses.
So financial awareness is key.
Exactly. Also, don't be afraid of the language barrier. Even if your English is not perfect, you will improve with time. Just be patient and keep practicing.
That's reassuring for many people.
Try to build connections. Talk to people, join activities, and don't isolate yourself. Relationships take time, but they are very important.
That makes a big difference emotionally.
Absolutely. And finally, stay open-minded. You will see things that are different from what you're used to. Instead of judging, try to understand.
So it's about mindset as much as preparation.
Exactly. If you go with the right mindset, the experience can be very positive and life-changing.
That's very valuable advice.
Thank you. And I hope it helps anyone who is thinking about taking that step.
Adam, after all this time, what's the one thing that still surprises you about life in the UK today?
That's a good question, Daniel. I think what still surprises me is how people value personal space and independence so much.
In what way?
Even in close relationships, people respect boundaries. Everyone has their own schedule, their own plans, and their own space. It's very different from what I was used to.
Did that feel strange at first?
Yes, very. At the beginning, I thought it meant people were distant. But over time, I realized it's actually a form of respect.
That's an interesting perspective.
Exactly. People don't want to interfere in your life, and they expect the same in return. It creates a sense of balance.
And it still surprises you?
Yes, because even now, I sometimes notice new situations where this applies. It's a cultural value that is deeply rooted.
So even after adapting, you're still learning.
Definitely. I think that's the beauty of living abroad. You never stop discovering new things.
That's a great way to see it.
Yes, every day is still a learning experience in some way.
Adam, before we close this episode, I want to ask you one final question. Was it all worth it?
Honestly, Daniel, yes, 100%. It wasn't easy, and there were many challenges, but every difficult moment taught me something valuable. I grew as a person, I became more independent, and I see the world differently now.
That's powerful. So despite the shocks, you would do it again?
Absolutely. Because those moments were actually the moments that changed me the most. They pushed me to learn, adapt, and become stronger.
I love that perspective.
Thank you. And if I can share one message, it would be this. Don't be afraid of new experiences. Growth always starts outside your comfort zone.
That's a strong message to end on.
And I also have a quick question for the audience.
Let's hear it.
If you had the chance to move abroad, what do you think would surprise you the most?
That's a great question. Thank you, Adam, for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you, Daniel. It was a pleasure.
And thank you to everyone listening. Don't forget to subscribe and see you in the next episode of Rise Stories Podcast.